Eleven, we're going to talk about going to Mars. Elon Musk has said that SpaceX will send 5 Starships to Mars in 2026, and that they will have lots of Cybertrucks and Teslabots. And that also has implications for Tesla bots, and possibly the share price. So we will discuss those implications, but mainly the future of humanity and the what will happen with the 2026 and 2028 missions to Mars. And then we have Randy Kirk here to discuss it with me.
Yes.
So we have some slides. There's quite a few slides, but we can pause to discuss as needed.
Sure.
So Elon has said, and I tweeted out that for the 2026 mission, they'll go unmanned and they'll put in a lot of Cybertrucks and Teslabots. And here we have Teslabots from the Robotaxi day, and then a red wrapped Teslabot, Cybertruck red for the Mars red. So previous tweet, Elon said 5 SpaceX Starships to Mars in 2026. And this intro to me, so I'm raising a fund of funds and advisor to space, AI, nuclear fusion, and nanotech companies. And I've also done SpaceX SPVs, and I've done some work for Airbus Ventures. I've written over 30,000 articles on deep tech. Okay, so a Starship, right now, they're probably only lifting about 80 to 100 tons because they're in the prototype phase, but they have the engines, the Raptor engines, to get up to 200 tons reusable, which is roughly about 4,000 Teslabots per Starship and 60 Cybertrucks, because the Cybertruck weighs about 3 tons, a little over 3 tons per Starship. And the Teslabots are about, 40, 50 kilos, less than 100 pounds.
Right.
You wouldn't put all of your vehicles into or Teslabots into one Starship of the 5. You spread everything out among the 5 in case you lose 1 or 2, right? Or
Right.
even 3. You want to have everything kind of redundant so that you can get there with the stuff you want to bring to Mars.
Okay. Okay.
These are the launch windows. So basically October-ish 2026 out to March or so. The wider windows are if you can get to the 7,000 meters per second, which if you do refueling in orbit, where you have it kind of like side by side, transferring fuel much like a fighter jet. If you
Right.
think about like the Tom Cruise, Maverick movies, where like that, refueling the jets in the air, you can do that. And the larger windows are in 2028, 2030, but whatever, as you get more powerful, you can extend your window with a more powerful rocket.
Okay.
Um, but anyway, 2026 we're doing it. October, you might send the first one. You can probably space out your 5 Starships. Like
Mm.
if I have a 3 month window,
Mhm.
so 12 weeks, I could say every 3 weeks I could send, or every 2 weeks I could send my Starships, so they space them out and get them, like one landing it takes 3 months or something to get there, and then it will land the first one, and then if it fails, I have 2 weeks to figure something out
Yeah.
so that the next one works better.
Yes.
So they'll
Makes
they'll
sense.
they'll put a gap, and they could even, if they got into orbit, they could just like wait and say, okay, let me pause and figure out stuff before I try to land.
Right.
So here's the interior of it. The main thing is in the middle, you see this big fuel tank that would be holding the liquid methane, and they
Okay.
have a larger fuel tank below for liquid oxygen. So the main point being that for to de-risk your 2028 mission when you want to send humans, astronauts, you would want to generate fuel, oxygen, liquid oxygen for fuel, as well as liquid regular oxygen for the astronauts to breathe, so
Mhm.
that things are waiting for them ready to go. So that they have something really screwy happen on their mission, that they would have things waiting for them, oxygen they need, habitat, other things like that. Also, you'd want to build a landing pad. So you want to build a landing pad on Mars in order so when you land with thrusters, you're not throwing up boulders like they did when they had the rocket engine in the first Starship test, where
So,
people
so
remember.
Brian, so
Yeah.
Brian, help me out. On these first 5 or so that are going to go in 2026, will these take off again, or will they land and stay?
They will land and stay through 2028. There's
Okay.
no reason to bring them back.
Okay.
Um, and yeah, so I would think they would just land and stay. Maybe if 2030, 2032, you'd start sending things back, but pretty much it's one way until later. I
And then
wouldn't
the
see any
ro
reason.
and then the robots would wake up,
Yeah,
and they would start unloading the these
supplies and
materials and
equipment.
start building whatever needs to be built. Okay.
Right, right. Again, this is a larger picture of the fuel tank. So about 240 tons of liquid methane and then 860 tons of liquid oxygen for a fully fueled Starship, if you're going to refuel it fully. Um, for the one waiting there, that if the astronauts land, they do want to come back, they would have the option of fully fueled Starship to do it, which means that you would need to be generating, for five of them, you need to be generating about like 5 tons a day or something like that of
Mhm.
liquid oxygen and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so then NASA had already sent a mission called the MOXIE mission that made oxygen on Mars. So that was already done, but at tiny quantities, only like a few tens of grams, a few ounces, or something like that per hour. But if you run it for 2 years, you can get to a significant quantity if you were able to store it someplace.
Mhm.
It's basically like a reverse fuel cell, is the basic technology. It was on a rover, and then in the center of it was the Moxie. They had a bunch of other sensors did other things. And then this is the breakdown of the Moxie thing. And they suck in the mostly CO2 atmosphere, and then you break it up and you add in some hydrogen. If you're not splitting water to get your hydrogen on Mars, there is water on Mars in ice form. If you say, okay, I don't know if I can make my hydrogen collection work,
Mhm.
then you would bring 60 tons of hydrogen with you, and then you would then match it up, and then you'd make your 240 tons of methane, and then you get your 860 tons of oxygen,
I
right?
see.
So anyway, so then you can do it. And this is the kind of like equipment that you're using to make your electrolysis of solid oxide thing. The company that got paid $36 million, they did the work with the Moxie thing, and they're making it bigger. In their lab, they made something 5 times bigger than what they sent to Mars.
Okay.
So, but this is not complicated technology. Fuel cells, if you chose to, spend $1 billion or, $3 billion, you can make a lot more of these to take with you to Mars.
Mhm. Okay.
So again, taking the atmosphere, compressing it, heating it, electrolysis, and then you have ta-da, um, oxygen. And you can also Mars fuel. It's a something called a Sabatier process. Again, not complicated. We do similar kind of things here on Earth for other purposes. California Irvine's been working on it at some scale. Lockheed Martin, NASA, but SpaceX, if they want to send, all these Teslabots, Cybertrucks, this equipment, it must be made over the next 18 months or so, right?
Mhm.
By early 2026, you pretty much have to have the equipment made, go through the testing, and then load it onto your rocket a month, 2 months before, that whole integration on the launch pad ready to go. And you then have five of them ready to launch, right? Because it's not like, okay, it's October, I need to
Right.
send it out.
Right.
No, I have to have it ready,
Right.
right?
Yes.
And then, yeah, so they have these large reverse water gas shifts. So all the equipment's there. You have to scale it up. It's stuff has been done. And then you also would need to send the Teslabots. If you're sending 1,000 Teslabots for each one of the five Starships,
Hmm.
the full AI software does not have to be fully working when you send them. You'll bring communications. They'll bring something called the Mars Link, a version of Starlink that will then improve high-speed communication between Earth and Mars. And then they can update the software, just like they do over the updates now. They'll do over space update of Cybertrucks and of the Tesla bots, so that they're able to be fully functioning and improving as they're working on Mars. Here's the larger version of the Moxie in their labs, where they got like 5 cells
Mm.
working, doing stuff. So they just need to make a lot more of this kind of equipment. So the landing pad, several ways to go about it. You can make cement on Mars. You can bring certain things to mix in with the regolith to make it, or you can use a lot of heating to make bricks.
Mhm.
You can fuse the Mars sand into bricks, kind of glass bricks. You can do iron, magnesium, a variety of options for how you make your bricks that could withstand all kinds of high temperatures. And then you could do 3D print them. You can use robot construction, like have the Teslabots lift the bricks over, and make your landing pad. So how do you get the high temperatures for the bricks? You can use mirrors that would then concentrate onto an engine. You could bring an engine, a Stirling engine, that would operate at high temperatures. So the advantage of this is I need high temperatures for my bricks. I need high temperatures from other industrial processes. I need high temperatures, for all kinds of industrial stuff. And I need solar power. So if I just can make a bunch of mirrors there and then, shove up some dirt so that I have the mirror on the side of a little, um, make a ditch, angled ditch thing, a little triangle, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Then I could hold my mirrors and then I can, generate as much power as I want with relatively lightweight engines that I bring with me. So I don't have to make solar panels per se, because I want heat for building things. And
Got
then
it.
basically that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
Mirrors instead of solar panels. Okay.
Solar panels. Yeah.
So the bots would have many, many, many jobs. They'd be
Yes.
building these solar mirrors and deploying them, setting them up, and designing them, creating the method for capturing the heat,
Yeah.
preparing I guess spaces for people to live once they get there. Although I know you and I've done a video a long time ago which thought that maybe the actual ships, the actual starships could be part of the like Quonset huts could be part of the living arrangement when people get there.
Mhm.
I suppose at some point they would get to explore to
Hmm.
get in those Cybertrucks,
Cybertrucks. Yeah.
go driving around on Mars and finding those locations where the ice was located and see how accessible the ice might be, and maybe
Right.
do a little mining here and there to see what kinds of other kinds of minerals and things might be already there. I
Mhm.
guess so they would have all kinds of fun jobs to do.
Right. But I think the priority would be to get water, ice, make it into liquid, store it when the astronauts come.
Right.
Also, you'd want to have pipes for future sewage thing for your colony, for your habitat. And then you also would want to have, you know, a lot of water ready to go for industrial purposes, for making the hydrogen for the fuel. Water is really important, especially because if I have the water, the oxygen, the methane, and the cement and the cement bricks,
Right.
I've taken out 90% of the weight of stuff I need to bring
Right.
with me.
Right.
So then if I come with 1,000 starships bringing 500,000 tons worth of stuff,
Mhm.
then I could build with 5 times that or 10 times that for 5 million tons of construction on the surface because I'll have all these cement pads, buildings made of bricks, into tunneled areas and stuff like that. It would be, large scale industrial production. Um, going, I would think if they go 5 starships in 2026,
Mhm.
I think you do maybe 20 to 100 in 2028.
Mhm.
And then getting up to, Elon wants to talk about getting to scale about 1,000. That'd be
Yeah.
2030, 2032.
Yeah.
But you know, scaling up is going as fast as possible to make the movie. And I would expect with the his first buddy status with the current administration that the some of the funding that would being wasted currently may go actually to the 2 Mars missions over the next 4 years.
Well,
That
so
would
the U.S. got in Elon's way of doing things. I think he would prefer it if the U.S. government was funding that they had a stake. So in other
yeah.
words, what does the United States government get out of it? What
Mhm.
kind of experiments do they want run? What kind of data do they want to receive? That they
Mhm.
obviously have no other way of getting at this point.
Right.
So that would be good if there was a good trade-off as opposed to just a handout.
Right.
Um, So I always thought that it'd be fun to be a Rand analyst. I
Yeah.
lived in Santa Monica. I lived on the west
Mhm.
side. Still only live 60 miles from Rand.
Mhm.
Past Rand all the time when I was doing errands in Santa Monica. I always thought it'd be fun to work there, but I think it would be more fun to work in the skunk works over at SpaceX.
Right.
There's got to be a handful or a few handfuls of people that's what they do all day. Is okay.
Right.
Now, how much of this do we put on this ship?
Right. I have to think that at least 100 people in SpaceX
About
are now
100.
working on the systems that they're going to send because it's less than 2 years,
Yeah,
right? They
yeah,
have to get the stuff going. It has to be ready. So they're doing all that. And then the fact that the Tesla bots have to be ready physically means that I would think you wouldn't send all your Tesla bots with it. So
yeah.
I think by the end of 2025, Tesla should have the ability to make and have made 10,000 Tesla bots. Because if I have to start, carving out 1,000, 5,000 over for this one mission,
Right.
why wouldn't I have the capability to make a lot more
Well,
um,
well,
for that?
my
Yeah,
position on this.
yeah,
My
right.
position is really clear. I think they'll have a run rate of, 10,000 a month or 15 or 20,000 a month by January of 2026. So I think there's some sandbagging going on.
Hmm.
I just don't see the ramping problem once they've got one.
Yeah,
Okay. I mean, sure. Will there be ramping problems? I had ramping problems with the stupid water bottle,
yeah,
but
yeah.
so there'll be ramping problems. But I also didn't have a staff of the most brilliant engineers in the world to help me figure out the problems either.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think once the Tesla bot can do the Optimus can do 100 jobs well.
Hmm.
I'm picking a number out of the air. Once it could do
Hmm.
100 jobs well, it probably can do 1,000 jobs well. But once it could do 100 jobs well, I don't see why it wouldn't just be, big numbers.
But the big thing is Tesla bot, the functionality of Tesla bot
Mhm.
is on the critical path to how much can be done on Mars.
Right,
If the Tesla bot is not as good and can only do certain things,
right,
that will limit how much by a lot, how much they can do on Mars.
right.
So if Tesla bots are really good and constantly updating it, there's that demand where it's like, need my Tesla bots to be fully functional. I need to communicate with them. I need to like beam them out to really harsh conditions.
Right.
And there's and in terms of them being able to work on Mars, Mars is colder than anywhere on Earth. It's like setting it up like 10 times higher than Everest, something like that. It's like,
Mhm.
thinner
Mhm.
atmosphere, CO2, colder, and then variations in temperature and other stuff like that. So if it can work on Mars efficiently and
It
well,
can work anywhere.
anywhere on Earth,
That's the commercial.
that's right. If I can make it into Mars, I can make it anywhere.
Well,
It's like,
that's going to be true for the trucks too.
right. True for the trucks too. Yeah. There's a bunch of customization they have to make on the trucks so they
Right.
can function on
Yeah.
Mars because Mars is
Yeah.
not, you see it's red, it seems no, but it's like it's really harsh conditions.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can handle that, oh, driving in Canada, can it handle the cold? It's like
Right.
it can do Antarctica, it can do anywhere. Yeah.
Right. And so they have the Mars rover, not they, but NASA
Yeah.
has the Mars rover, which they got a lot of learnings out of that in terms of the mechanics and
Mhm.
and lubrication and things of that nature that would be necessary.
Right.
So theoretically, Tesla would have access to all of that.
Right.
Tesla and SpaceX would have access to that information to help them build things that will last
Yeah.
even on Mars.
Right. So the Cybertruck ready for Mars, again, has to be ready in 18 months. They
Yeah.
have to build them now, modify them
Right.
so they can handle it. So then people concerned about, can my Cybertruck handle Canadian winters? Can I handle Alaskan winters? All that kind of stuff is like, and the answer would be yes. Can I
Yes.
handle some desert thing? Yes. So it will be in order for them to be able to drive and do things on Mars, then the harshest conditions here would be, Mars tough.
Yeah.
The Cybertrucks would be Mars tough, would be the vehicles.
Well,
So
of course.
also, yeah, the Teslabots too. The Teslabots have to handle
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, and obviously this would be fairly good publicity, assuming they need any at
Yeah.
that point to prove the value of of Tesla in general, SpaceX in general. Yeah, it's quite a quite an elaborate project that's going on that nobody really knows about. They'd like to be. I wouldn't even have to work there. I just could be a fly on the wall. That would be enough, I think, just to hear the conversations.
Well, we're seeing the high definition video from the SpaceX Starship launches where
Right.
they set the cameras and got Starlinks communicating to that.
Yeah.
So having high resolution images, video
Yeah.
coming in 2027
Yeah.
of hundreds, thousands of Tesla bots driving Cybertrucks on Mars, like, that's going to be a very popular channel to watch,
Yeah. Well,
whereas
you did mention to me the other day that there's going to be some kind of a special satellites that are going to be set up between here and Mars,
right.
maybe within the next 2 years. Do you think it'll happen before they go on the first one?
I think it's kind of like necessary that they
Necessary.
that
So between now and then, we'll have special satellites between here and Mars to speed up the
well
communication between
well
Mars
they'll
and.
deliver the other end, to as they go out there, like the five unmanned
Oh, I see.
starships
On the way.
will
Oh,
will bring those things over there, and
oh,
then they'll end up in orbit, and whatever they need to like dump out would then be put there, and they put things in high orbit and wherever they
I
need to
see.
put the network,
I
right?
see.
And then there'll also be ones around the moon, right? There'll be
Yeah.
moon link. So initially they're talking about 4 megabits per second, but Elon has
That's
said they're going to get to petabits. So megabits, gigabits, terabits, each 1,000 times more, and then petabits. So he wants it to be 1 billion times better, right? So they will continue to upgrade that. Like I would think that the gigabit version would be coming in the 2028 deployment of the
Mhm,
astronauts, right?
mhm,
And
mhm,
again, if they make bigger ground dishes, right? Bigger arrays
mhm.
in the unmanned form, then they could, you know, upgrade the communications from Mars while again while they're working the Teslabot they're working on Mars. They can say like, let me make a really big
Right.
satellite dish. Like you fill out some crater and stuff like that, and it can improve communications and that kind of thing. So a lot of things. Again, the more capable my Tesla bots are, the more I can build on Mars, the better communication, other things is all going to be. Yeah,
Wow. Holy
yeah,
mackerel.
yeah. So in terms of the whole like sci-fi future movie of what's going to be happening, the construction of unmanned Mars base is going to be like wow. It's going to be like stuff driving around, stuff building things. That's gonna, you know, only like we're 2 years away, three, two and a half years
Yeah, yeah, 2 years, 2 years before they might be building stuff on Mars.
building
Yeah.
stuff on Mars, getting
Yeah.
the video from it. It's like, and maybe they'd have a large a long range camera. So like first Starship lands, four others in orbit, and then you're doing a long range view to
Yeah.
try and watch it, and then you have cameras on it as it's landing. So you have that thing of like a thing coming down, with multiple cameras on it, and then another one far distant, and then when it lands, the other one if it's closer by, you have one pointing at the next one landing if first one lands successfully, and then again if cameras. So just the landing thing of like five landings on Mars, and then the unloading. It's just like
Yeah.
the whole all
Yeah.
the views and everything just be um,
Yeah.
amazing,
Netflix is already asking, trying to get the rights, right?
right? I think it's going to be mainly broadcast on X
Yeah,
is my
probably
guess.
so. That'd be my guess too. Uh,
So a lot to look forward to, and like I said, good stuff for Tesla stock for Tesla bot
yeah.
because if we weren't already motivated enough to
Tough.
get
Yeah.
Tesla bots working,
Yeah.
that we want
Yeah.
really good Mars Tesla bots. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Interesting.
Okay. So join us next time and we'll talk later. Thank you.